And I'm afraid if we don't take action, it's a cheque that will bounce. Britain left with a social black hole and a financial one. £22 billion this year alone. Concealed not just from us, not just from you and working people, but even from the Office of Budget Responsibility, the watchdog that is there precisely to protect working people. Now, no one in this room wants to hear such a gloomy forecast. I get that. I don't want to be saying it either. It's not how any government would want to begin its work. Yet, given what happened with Liz Truss, given that, unlike 14 years ago, borrowing costs are high and the risk of inflation is real, I owe working people the respect of economic stability, a responsibility not to be reckless with their money. That is the mandate we have won. And we will deliver this by fixing the foundations of our country, taking those first steps towards the long-term change that we need. That is how this government will return wealth creation to Britain, to the service of working people. Because, Congress, make no mistake, that is the opportunity here. This is not a project that will be content to achieve a good few Labour things and leave the broader economic settlement untouched. No, the crisis we've inherited means we must go deep into the marrow of our institutions, rewrite the rules of our economy, fix the foundations so we can build a new home. A country where growth not only comes from the enterprise of working people, but where growth serves the interests of working people. Living standards rising, not just because we're redistributing from prosperous parts of the country, but because we're growing the economy in every community. That is our mission. Who is growth for? Who does it serve? The right answer, the Labour answer, the British answer must be working people, and that is the change that we stand for. There's nothing new in this. It's the purpose of the Labour Party now and always. And throughout this government, no matter the storm, the service of working people will be our anchor, our still point in a turning world, the people we hold in our mind's eye as we face up to the daunting challenge of our inheritance and secure our mission on growth. That's why we've already reformed the remit of the Low Pay Commission to take account of the cost of living and deliver a real living wage. It's why we've launched a new National Wealth Fund to invest in the critical infrastructure our industries need and drive growth into every community. It's why we've unlocked solar and onshore wind, started bringing rail back into public ownership, committed to a proper industrial strategy, switched on great British energy, and begun, in partnership with you and business, the biggest levelling up of workers' rights in a generation. And let's be really clear about why we need this New Deal. It's because this government is committed to driving up living standards, improving productivity, and working in partnership with workers. And Congress, as part of that New Deal, let me again be crystal clear. We will repeal the 2016 Trade Union Act, get rid of minimum service level legislation, end the cheap and vindictive attacks on this movement, and turn the page on politics as united once and for all. And Congress, this is the opportunity of power. It was hard won and hard fought for. I want to thank the General Secretary for his role in that. Paul has always been a campaigner, a force of nature. And across the movement, there are people without whom we could not have done this. Too many to thank here, but they know who they are. Because election victories don't fall from the sky, certainly not for the Labour Party. But as well as your support, we also had to change. This election would not have been won if we had not changed. We have the chance now to repair our public services because we changed the Labour Party. We have the chance to make work pay because we changed the Labour Party. We have the chance to deliver for working people, young people, vulnerable people, the poorest in our society because we changed the Labour Party. So when I say country first, party second, that isn't a slogan. It's the guiding principle of everything this government will do. We ran as a changed Labour Party, and we will govern as a changed Labour Party. And so I make no apologies for any of the decisions we've had to take to begin the work of change. And no apologies to those still stuck in the 1980s who believe that unions and business can only stand at odds, leaving working people stuck in the middle, who cannot see that this country needs a new path on growth. People who describe policies that give working people more security, more protection, more power and dignity at work, or even the fundamentals of industrial strategy, which is common across the world, as anti-growth. Let me tell you what is anti-growth. An economy where real wages stagnated for 15 years. That's anti-growth. An economy where productivity keeps on flatlining. That's anti-growth. An economy where the state of our public services prevents people going to work because they're ill. That's anti-growth. And so I won't take lectures from the Tories or others who complain every time this government tries to undo the damage that they have done, clinging desperately to the failed model of the past. And nor will I take seriously the complaints of people who had their time, faced with the same difficult problems, chose to run away from the responsibility of fixing them. A party that allowed the politics of easy answers and distraction to become their comfort zone, rather than face the responsibility and reality of government. That has changed. Let me tell you, I see the nurses, the teaching assistants, the carers who can't afford to get their boiler fixed or buy their kids a new school uniform. I see them. I see the public sector demoralised, burnt out in some places, gripped by a recruitment and retention crisis that holds back your ability to do what we all believe in, the service of working people. I see all that. And so I can guarantee this is not and never will be a government that will sit around the table with you and tell you that black is white. But I do have to make clear, from a place of respect, that this government will not risk its mandate for economic stability under any circumstances. And with tough decisions on the horizon, pay will inevitably be shaped by that. I owe you that candour. And I'll tell you why. It's because, as was so painfully exposed by the last government, when you lose control of the economy, it's working people who pay the price. I'll never let that happen under a Labour government. And that's why I call now, as before the election, for the politics of partnership with us in government, with business, and most importantly of all, with working people. Now, that sounds very straightforward and attractive, but I'll tell you this, it's much more difficult. Alongside collaboration, it also requires compromise. It demands that we work through our disagreements, and with those who have a different perspective. Partnership is a more difficult way of doing politics. I don't deny that. I know there's a clarity in the old ways, the zero-sum ways, business versus worker, management versus union, public versus private, pick your side, to the victor the spoils. Nonetheless, I say to everyone now, and I think many of you already know this, that kind of politics is not what the British people want. When I say to them that our policies will be pro-business and pro-worker, they don't look at me as if I'm deluded. No, they see that as the most ordinary, sensible thing in the world. I know there will always be disputes. Of course there will. But in all seriousness, there is a mood of change in the business world, a growing understanding of the importance of good work and the shared self-interest that comes from treating the workforce with respect and dignity, the productivity gain of fairness. And Congress, that is an opportunity to be grasped. Business leaders are not knocking on my door saying they want to rip up employee rights. They don't tell me the problems they face will be solved by coming for the trade unions. They want fair taxes, high skills, and the long-term ability to invest. And that chimes precisely with what trade unions up and down the country tell me they also want. Working people want good companies to make profits, attract investment, and create good jobs. And Congress, in a way, that is why the Tory argument on trade unions no longer finds the same audience. The British people are not interested in those tired old tropes. This isn't the 1980s. The mood is for partnership, and not just on pay, on everything, to turn around our NHS, give our children the start in life that they deserve, make our public services fit for the future, unlock the potential of our clean energy. We have to treat this as an opportunity to come together. We're in power now. This is our chance, Congress. Common cause of national renewal. And so as we rewrite those rules of our economy, as we drag this country back to the service of working people, this is a chance that must be taken. Because rules written in the ink of partnership will be more durable and long-lasting, whoever is in power. So it's time to turn the page. Business and unions, the private and public sector, united by a common cause to rebuild our public services and grow our economy in a new way. Higher growth, higher wages, higher productivity, the shared purpose of partnership, the path through the mess the Tories made, and onwards to national renewal. That is the road we are on, Congress, and we won't turn away from it. We will keep to the course of change, reject the snake oil of the easy answer, fix the foundations of our economy and build a new Britain, more secure, more prosperous, more dynamic and fairer. Wealth created in every community, a country renewed and returned, calmly but with confidence, to the service of working people. Thank you, Congress.